Welcome everyone. We have the mini games available for the festival. So the first thing is, let's have a look at how much Primogems we can get. The starting quest will give us 60 Primogems. After that, there's 2 more quests for 20 Primogems. So now we have 100 Primogems. Afterwards, if we come to the 3 mini games, if we go to the first one, which was unlocked today, after that it's 2 days, 5 days and 8 days for the additional mini games. So if we go to the first reward, we can get 30 Primogems from each of the particular mini challenges. So that add up to be 90 Primogems for the 3 mini games for today. So in 2 days time, we can get 90 more Primogems. So now we have 190 Primogems. And finally, if we come to the Peculiar Wonderland for the mini games of co-op, which is the most fun one, we'll talk about this on the next part, we can get 30 and 30 Primogems, which add up to 190 plus 60 to 250 Primogems. And this is for today. So later on, we can get more Primogems on each of those. So it is pretty much 250 Primogems for each of the 4 days. So for each of the 4 sessions. Notice that this is divided into 4 sessions. So first act, second act, third act, and also fourth act. We're looking at 1000 Primogems in total, so 250 for today. Now let's go into the details of those co-op events and also the minigames, which looks amazing. Now coming over to the most exciting minigame with a co-op, so this is located next to the Whispering Woods. Notice the icon over here, and after getting over there, what you can see is you can travel over here, speak to the NPC, and he will start a portal. So notice that the portal starts, you have option to do this by yourself or you can play in co-op. I strongly recommend playing co-op because this is so much more fun if you play with other players. You can play with up to 4 different players. Once you join in co-op, be aware that notice up here there's an invitation. Make sure you accept the invitation and this will take you into the ready screen. So once all the party members have accepted the invitation, you can then start a fight. If one of the party members have not started or accepted, we have to wait for everyone to be ready. So this is the only thing with co-op. And once you get in guys, it's actually pretty fun. So notice that we're trying to get everyone to be ready, and once you get into the dungeon, a special buff will be revealed. And over here we have 3 different buffs for 3 different minigames. So the first buff is to get 100 points, and we can activate the second buff once we get 200 points and 300 points for the last buff, which are ridiculously strong if you look at those buffs. Increase elemental damage by 100%, increase attack speed, and also increase additional rapid damage. So depending on the characters you're using, you can benefit a lot. And once the minigame starts, we'll be running from all of those minigames, and there will be 3 of them to go from. So it depends on which of the minigames you get, things can get quite interesting. And notice the first one we got was the bubble minigame. This one's quite interesting. You want to be avoiding the bubbles or tanking the bubble for the team, because once you get stuck in the bubbles, you'll be slowed down. Notice while we're running, we also want to pick up additional points. Those points will be used for the special buffs we get for the boss. and over here, as you can see, I tanked for the shell. So notice that after tanking for him, I was a little behind. And be extra aware of this particular parting, because over here there's a lot of bubbles that's coming through, and I was not ready. So notice here I got stuck 3 times. And the downside is, if you get stuck and your team's waiting for you, you will have a little delayed in timing. But regardless, we have picked enough points for the first one. So notice that we got the first buff. And if you didn't get enough buffs, you won't get enough of the points for the special buff for the boss. The second one we got was a barrage. And this one, I think Venti is especially strong on this one. Because as the rains of the things comes at you, you can use Venti's updrift to avoid a lot of those. What you cannot avoid are those bombs which shoot towards the sky. You can avoid a lot of those that shoots directly towards on the floor surface. So notice I'm kind of abusing Venti, everyone's flying around with this, and this makes things much easier. So if you have Venti, definitely consider having him for this event. Notice that you cannot avoid the bombs. So very soon you're going to see me trying to get away, and I got hit by the bombs over here. So although Venti is good, he is not immune in this minigame. So notice that a lot of us are flying, a lot of us are dodging, and you can see a Shao over here maneuvering with his E-spells. So this is quite fun, and it gets more exciting with a lot of random minigames. So as we fast forward over here, we can see everyone flying, and notice we're getting a lot higher points. So the next one we're running into is going to be the Wind Bloom or the Blessing. So this one's quite straightforward as well. They will be raining down off the little flowers. You want to pick up the white flowers, you want to avoid red flowers. So as you can see over here, the event starts and there's a lot of white flowers. You don't want to pick up the red ones, and as you go around, things get interesting, because sometimes they change in color as well, and sometimes they stay on the floor. So as you can notice over here, we're moving around and you want to spread out with your team. So you can see us running around, and notice I'm trying to go to the white ones, and sometimes all of a sudden they have changing the color with the red ones. So that wasn't bad. So 340 points. That means we got all the points to fight the boss, and we got all the buff. So now we're going to go for the boss. The boss will be a special Quile or Pile Reservant, so it's a flame flower. Now depending on the characters you have, you do want to synergize with your teammate. And once the boss is done, and once the boss is on the floor, you want to deal the most damage. I don't think we have trouble with the boss, especially having all those buffs ready. So the fun part is playing the minigames with everyone and also have a great time. And also you get a lot of points and also Primal Gems in the end. So we got an achievement over here, and we got some points, we got a lot of rewards, so that was the co-op minigame. So that was a co-op minigame, and now let's come over to some of the single player minigames we also have. So we're going to go through the balloon ones, the flying ones, and also the musical ones. Some of them are quite interesting, and sometimes you might be making mistakes which you might want to avoid. For the particular bloom challenge, what you want to do is, you want to hit all three of those, the green ones, the orange ones, and also the orange ones. You don't want to hit the red ones. Keep in mind, you don't want to hit the broken heart ones. You're going to see me making a few mistakes as I go. So over here, as you can see, initially I was thinking to go with Ganyu, and because she has the charge shot which does AoE damage. And that's a pretty good idea at the start, so I was thinking, we get AoE shot, we can spread the balloons, and very soon you're going to see the mistake. So at the start, you're getting all the green balloons. Nothing too special, we're still waiting for the change of color for the balloons. You do get about 3 minutes to shoot those balloons, and you do get additional points for getting more combos for hitting the balloons correctly. There isn't a rush to get all the combos. The key point is getting the correct balloons, which you're going to see me trying. Notice over here, the correct one explodes, but if you hit the incorrect one, you will lose points. And I made a mistake over here, and I was like, I'm going to hit this one. Notice this one is coming with this one as well. What you can do is, you want to avoid hitting the wrong ones. So notice the broken heart ones, you don't want to hit the red ones. So I was too trigger happy. Then I realized that Ganyu is probably not going to be the best character for this one. Again, her split shot is hitting too many wrong balloons, so I swapped into Venti. And after that, the biggest factor in the balloon particular event is to make sure you predict the movement of the balloon. You don't have to wait for the charge arrows, you can shoot rapidly, but the key part is predicting the movement of the balloon. They do change as well. So notice I'm fully focused on trying to get the orange one. Eventually I got it, but I could have gotten a lot of the green ones. So it's up to you which ones you want to get, and try to hit the exploding balloon when it's between the correct ones. And here I'm like trying to hit it correctly, and it's always a little faster than my predictions. And this will take a little more time, so I think this is quite a fun challenge. It may be a little difficult on the console players with the controllers, but as a little practice, you can get really high points on this one. So you've seen a lot of mistakes I made, so make sure you predict them correctly and use the exploding balloon for additional points. And over here, you can see that I've gotten 2,416 points. If we come over and have a look at the point settings, we want to get over 2,600 for all the prices. You can get 30 Primal Gems by getting 1,000 points. So this is not the difficult part. The difficult part is getting the rest of the particular reward for the 20,000 Mora. So as you can see over here, the highest score we want to get for all the rewards is 2,600 for the balloon challenge. Now coming over to the flying event. For this one, what you want to be aware is there are 3 different point systems. The first one, the green things, will give us 35 points. The flower petals will give us 200 points, and also the finishing line will give us 400 points. You really want to get onto the finishing line and get as many as the flower petals as you can, because this one is equal to about 6 of the green ones. So coming back to our replay, you can see me trying over here. Now the first thing to be aware of is you don't consume any stamina. So what that means is, you don't have to worry about your staminas using any more characters. You can use any of the characters. After that, notice as you pick the pathways, you want to get as many as the green ones after the flower petals. Hitting into those little bombs will only blind you. You won't lose any points. Notice that this event is also promoting co-op play, because notice that there's some of the green ones I cannot get by myself unless I go to the middle of that. So if you try the middle point, or if you go with co-op, this is a really good idea. So as you can see, you want to get as many as the flower petals as you can, because they do give 200 points. try to go into the middle of the flower petals to get all the green ones. And as you plan your pathways of descending, you want to look for the particular pathway that suits you the most. So notice that I'm trying to get all the green ones. It is a little harder at the start, and I was always looking at the bottom. I'm trying to get the bottom ones. There isn't a rush, and you do kind of glide evenly in the air. So notice you can get one on this side, and then quickly fly to the one on the other side. You can still get those for some additional points on the side. So you can fly across a little bit as you adjust yourself. So over here I did hit into a bomb. We didn't lose any points, but we did get a little blinded. And eventually, as you descend to the end, you really want to get into the finishing line. This one will give us 400 points, which is actually essential. For each of the seconds you don't spend, you also get additional points. So you also get some bonus points with the timers you have. But there isn't a rush, so make sure you get the finishing line for additional points. So as you can see over here, I got over 3,000 points on my first go. And over here you can see, we only needed 3,000 points for all the particular rewards. And once you get all the rewards, it will automatically loot everything for you, including the Moras, experience books, and also the primal gems. Now coming over to the final minigame, which is the musical tab minigame, which is quite difficult on the first glance actually. So as we go through the minigame, what you want to be doing is, you want to be tapping correctly. And in order to get the primal gems, you do have to score at least 1000 points. So this is quite important. On my first try, I only got 998 points because it's quite hard and a little difficult for me to get all the buttons correctly. So on my second try, I did get a little better. So let me go through some of my tips. The first one is, notice the ring is going to change color. Once it changes into yellow, you can press. You don't have to wait for the ring to be perfectly on the point. Once the ring changes into yellow, you can press the button. And also get your hand on the right buttons. The first time I tried it, I was pressing the wrong buttons. So now that I know the ring wants to change into yellow, I can press a little earlier, because later on you'll be getting a lot of rings. And you do want to aim for combos, but there isn't a rush for those. So at the start, I was doing really well. Now one thing to be aware, notice that Venti is playing in the background. He can be baiting you with some of his rings, so don't get too distracted as he pop up those rings. What you want to look for is when the ring turns yellow, then press. Don't press before that, press when the ring turns yellow. And as you get better of this, you'll be getting better with the timings. So this is what I mean by the Venti rings. Notice that he has rings over here. This is baiting me to click on the J button. Don't get baited on this one, only press when it goes to yellow. This is quite important, and you know, the first time I was like pressing all the time on the J, it doesn't work. So notice that each time it goes onto the yellow, press onto the yellow. And this is the best way. It isn't a very long musical, and once you get used to it, you can be getting a lot more combos, getting a lot more scores. The next tips I guess for this one is to not be a rush. You don't want to rush it until it goes into yellow. Usually you don't run out of time. You fail because you pressed too early. And after my second attempt, I got over 1000 points, and we got the 30 primal gems over here. So lovely, lovely. Now before we finish, let me know which of the events are your favorite. For me, I love the minigames. I do think the musical one's a little more difficult, but I really want to try more of the minigames with co-op. It's so much more fun seeing other players and me trying different minigames, not knowing what's happening, and having a really good time with it. There's also a lot of rewards over here. So we're looking at about 100,000 Mora, 60 primal gems, and 6 of the talent books. And after that, we can see more rewards on the 2 days later. So pretty amazing, right? So let's see how it goes, and let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Now if you found this video helpful, make sure you subscribe and also turn the little bell on for the latest news. I'll be looking towards to make more builds, guides, tips, and news and event updates for us as we come further into the game. And as always, I wish you guys the best of luck with Genshin and have the most fun in exploring this wonderful world.